Hello! Today's video I am going to show you how I personally paint in what I perceive to be the style of vintage Japanese bunka dolls. This is not authentic, not in the least. I've never seen authentic instructions on how to paint bunka dolls. This is just me looking at pictures of vintage bunka dolls and saying, hey, I'll bet it's painted like this. And then my interpretation. That's not very skillful, but it's a lot of fun and it's really fast. Because in this video, which you can tell by the timestamp isn't really that long, we're going to paint not only this face, but also this face. Because it's that fast and it's a lot of fun. Let's go. Okay, here are the materials I will be using, starting with craft pumpkins of various sizes. This time of year they're starting to show up in all the craft stores and even some of the regular old stores. Scissors to cut a makeup sponge. Paintbrush, I use a number 2 paintbrush that's tapered. It's not really small. You don't need a small paintbrush to paint doll faces. You just need to learn brush control. I use I'm not really sure what this thing is for my dotting tool, and I'm also using a needle, the needle that I use to reroot doll hair actually. And a palette, you can see this palette has been well used, bowl of water, and a paper towel for cleaning out the brush and for wiping it off and drying it to a point when you're done. The varnish is used at the end. Black and white are definite for the eyes, although actually you could probably use any color besides black to get sort of more of a neon 80s variant look. And a pink or a red for the mouth, although again you could use any color you want if you want to go for a more punk look. The light blue is needed for the second version that I will paint, and then all these other colors I am using for eye colors, the accent colors in the eyes. Sorry, I paused because my camera thinks that the label on the bright green bottle is a face, and that's just funny to me. Alright, so that's what we have, that's what I'm going to use, and let's get started. Alright, we're going to start with the smaller pumpkin. And first thing you do is cut the makeup sponge in half long ways. And then you'll start with one end and trim it roughly into a circle. I mean, rough can be really rough because you're going to be stamping over it with this a couple times to get it eventually fairly round. Alright, then we're going to take black, put it on the palette, then stamp the sponge until it's covered. Alright, these plastic pumpkins like this, plastic coated foam pumpkins, have a center line that's fairly visible, and you're going to put the eyes on the center line. So I will, let's see, put it here, and then you stamp it down, and this is where it doesn't matter if it's not round, you just move it and stamp it again. And I'm going to go over 2 ridges and stamp and move again. Might be a little bit bigger. One thing I like about this kind of paint is that precision is not part of the charm. Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit more black on the palette. And now we take the paintbrush, get the bristles wet and soft, and then dry them and draw them out over the paper towel. Get a bit on the brush end and make some eyelashes. And I have it too wet, but that's okay because again, these if you look at actual vintage bunka dolls, the painting quality was really not that good. So I'm going to do this again. And the way you do this is you start heavy and then pull away. And that'll make a naturally tapered line in one stroke, although my one stroke is not so good. Alright, let's see, rinse it out just because I rinse my brush constantly, even though I'm not changing color yet, to try to get a little more dry. Get a little bit more, and we're going to do the eyebrows. Same stroke, start heavy, arch it, and pull it away. Okay. Now we're going to get into the colors. For this one, I'm going to do some pastels, starting with pink. And when I'm just using a tiny bit of paint, I take it straight out of the lid. And you do want to load the brush up a bit for this. Same motion, you start heavy and pull up. Start heavy and pull up. Alright, and that's it for the pink. Now I'm going to do green. This is going to go at the top of the eye. Okay, and now I'm going to do a purple accent. I have seen vintage bunka dolls have anywhere from, well, at least one color in their eyes. Usually they only have two, but there can be a lot more, but if you just want to do one little color swoop, that's fine. This purple is kind of thick, so I have to mess with it to get it out. And we'll do a little accent next to the green. Okay. That's it for the purple. And now we're going to do white. It's going to be the same motion. Start heavy and then lighten the pressure, but we're going to do it straight. It's a little more paint than I meant, but like I said, the fun of this style is that it's inconsistent. Alright, now the next bit of white I'm going to do with the daughter. Oh, there's cat hair on it. I had to shoo Chippy Cat off of my desk before filming this, recording this. Okay, and we're going to put the dot and dot, and there's the eyes. Next will be the nose and mouth. And yes, people can make eyes more complicated. They can put on blush, they can put on eyelids, they can do a lot more, they can do more eyelashes with different white brushes. It's all good. This is just what I do. Alright. Improvised dotting tool. Straighten the pink. Test it a few times on there. And little nostrils. 1, 2. I never get them even. So I know I shouldn't really worry about trying to get them even because that's not the point of this style, but I do. Alright, now the mouth. You're going to really load up your paintbrush. Do 1 dot under one nostril and 1 big dot under another nostril. Load your paintbrush up again and do 1 dot below. And now for the blush. You're going to take your other craft sponge, makeup sponge, whatever it is you're using, cut it down and then cut it so that its circle is smaller than the eyes, but it doesn't have to be any better than the circle you made for the eyes. Alright, and I'm going to dip this straight into the paint here and really blot a lot of it off, so it's only barely leaving paint. And this goes right under the eye. Turn it so it gets rounded out. And that's it. All you have to do is let this dry thoroughly and then you can seal it. Okay, next one. Variation on a theme. This is going to be a slightly more mature looking pumpkin face, but it starts the same. Let's see. It starts with black on the palette. See, this can turn out a little weird because the grooves on this one are more pronounced. So I'm going to do the eyes down in the groove. I did not look for the center line because it is harder to find on this particular brand of pumpkin. I say different pumpkins will have different ways, and you see I made a huge mistake there. That's okay, there are no mistakes on these. That's just dramatic eye makeup. Alright, next you will take your brush. Let's see, is there enough black on the palette? No, trying to be fast is not working. Alright, a little bit more black on the palette. Now we're going to start over the eye. I'll go over the top and then swirl off to the side and add some more lashes. Again, these are terrible, but when it's done, that won't matter. And they go in the same direction on these styles of dolls I've looked at, instead of being symmetrical or mirror images like most doll face paints are. And another thing about painting on bare plastic like this is if you get to something that you really don't like, you can just scrape it off and shape it that way, which I'm not going to do. Well, I might not do. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Let me grab a toothpick. And I'm going to just scrape off some of the feathery paint on these lashes. Alright, now take the light blue. Oh wait, I almost forgot her eyebrows. Okay, now the light blue. And this goes inside the line of the eyelashes and down next to the eye. Alright. Now onto the colors. I'm going to do bright green and brown on this one because I wanted it to be a little more earthy, harvesty. Let's see. Oh, that's blorping out the top, so I don't even need to squeeze any of that out into the palette. Onto the brown. I have some problems with getting this brown shaken up enough. Again, there's enough on the end. I don't need to put any on the palette. Now back to white. And with this, not only are we going to do the accent color, or the highlight, but also paint the whites of the eyes over, making a triangle with the blue. Now I haven't figured out, I'm sure there's a way to do this in just a few strokes that don't need to be gone over, but I haven't figured that method out yet. So like I said, this is my interpretation of how these things are made, as nothing even vaguely near authentic methods. And the time for the dots. Okay, now onto the nose and mouth. Now I have seen some vintage Ontka dolls where the mouth is just a simple little curving smile, and that is just fine, that is cute. But I'm kind of fascinated with the way you can put three blobs together and have it end up looking kind of like a mouth. Alright, nostrils. Those are very off-center nostrils, but that's okay. She doesn't really have a nose anyway. Alright, load up the paint on the brush. A dot on that side, a dot on that side, and a big dot under them. And now it's time for the cheeks, which, since I've already cut that out, I'll just use that bit again. Let's see, her cheeks are going to be a little off to the side because she's in a groove there. And I'll go ahead over here on this side and put it over the black that got out of hand. And there she is. Now I just have to seal these two and find bodies for them. Here they are outside in the garden, their natural environment, of course. I put the larger head on a live body and the smaller head is on a monster high body. And they are fun, even though I do look at them and see all the flaws and all the problems. I also look at them and think about how much fun they are to paint. And there will be better pictures of these so you can see how much flawed fun they are for yourself on my Flickr, where I am Dolls Ahoy. Link will be below. Thanks for watching. Oh, and of course, if you use these to paint anything, whether it's a pumpkin or a doll or a spatula or a piece of paper, just anything, I would love to see results, and feel free to tag me. Thanks!